In today's video, we're going to be benchmarking my latest addiction, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, with some budget graphics cards. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Zach's Tech Turf. Today we're going to be benchmarking the brand new Call of Duty Modern Warfare with some budget graphics cards, and I even added yet another budget graphics card to our lineup since our last benchmarking video. And if you're new here and you want to see other benchmarking videos just like this one, then hit that subscribe button down below and also that notification bell. That way you never miss an episode. But before we get into it, let me quickly talk about how you can earn $5 literally right now from Privacy.com. Today's video is brought to you by Privacy.com. Privacy.com allows you to create virtual credit cards to use online instead of your real ones, which allow you to keep your actual bank information safe and hidden on the internet. More details towards the end of the video, and make sure you keep watching to learn how you can get $5 for free that you can use for any online purchase. For today's testing, we now have 9 budget graphics cards, and of course we also have the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G's integrated graphics for those of you interested in that. For the AMD side of things, we have the RX 560, RX 570, and the RX 580, and over on the NVIDIA side, we have the GTX 750 Ti, GTX 960, GTX 970, GTX 1050 Ti, GTX 1060, and finally we are now adding the heavily requested GTX 1650. Micro Center and I are actually teaming up on this video, and I'm sure you've seen by now that they've been integrating into other tech YouTubers over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, before getting into the benchmarks, I did want to quickly bring this up. Most of you already know by now that Micro Center is the local store to find some of the best gaming PC hardware deals, especially those juicy CPU and motherboard combo discounts. But one thing that a lot of people sleep on are their clearance deals. You can actually go on their website and choose which store you're local to, and then that'll show you exactly what is on their clearance rack at the time of you viewing the website. And I really take advantage of this, and this is how I found the GTX 1650 for such a good deal. I've also found on the clearance rack online a laptop and some other gaming PC components, and yeah, I just really like how they show you exactly what they have on clearance at any given time. Feel free to head on down to the Micro Center link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But yeah, let's get back to some Modern Warfare benchmarking. For our testing platform, today we're going to be testing these GPUs with the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G like I said earlier, because this isn't an overkill system and it actually makes sense for most of these GPUs. There's also 16GB of Team Group 3000 MHz DDR4 RAM. The game is installed on a 120GB AirI SSD, and housing all of this is a monster Dark-based 900 Pro Rev 2 case. Booting into the actual game, here's what the video settings page is looking like, and as you can see, there's really not a ton of options here like we've been seeing in some other recent benchmarking videos. The one thing that's actually kind of annoying is that there's no preset option either, so you'll have to bear with me as I say low, medium, high, etc. during our testing. If I say medium settings, for example, because there isn't a medium preset, just know that everything that could be set to medium is set to medium, but then everything that could be set to enabled or disabled, I just had to balance them. As far as the actual benchmarking run goes, I decided to use an offline private match on the ArcLive Peak map for testing. I fired up the map with 11 bots for a normal 6v6 match, and I ran a complete lap around the map for every graphics card. Most of the time I had to shoot one enemy. The results of this offline benchmark actually produced very close results to what you can expect during an actual online multiplayer match, so this was indeed a good idea for testing. Getting into the actual results, here's a chart showing what every card can do with the exact same settings, 1080p and low, and once again low is meaning that everything that could be set to low is at low and everything else is just disabled. As you can see, every single card here can actually play the game in 1080p low, and this is a nice change of pace from our previous benchmarking videos. Getting into the individual benchmarks for each GPU, starting on the AMD side of things, we have the RX 560, and for this one I put the settings at 1080p and normal, which is pretty much medium, and I kept anti-aliasing turned off. With this I got a solid FPS average of 62. Stepping up to the RX 570, here I was able to actually completely max the settings in 1080p. This includes max anti-aliasing, and even with all that I still got a very high FPS average of 82, and you could certainly think about pushing to 1440p with the RX 570. For our last AMD card, the RX 580 was up next, and just like the 570 I had everything at max settings in 1080p, and here I got an average of 92, 10 FPS better than the 570, and yeah, I would definitely recommend 1440p for this card. Switching over to the NVIDIA side of things, the super budget GTX 750 Ti was up next, and this was the only card that struggled in 1080p as I had to drop the settings down to low and even drop the resolution scale to 70%. With this, I did manage to score a very playable and smooth 57 FPS, which is nice to see. Following that was the 2GB GTX 960, and here in 1080p with low and no anti-aliasing, this card was able to push a very respectable 68 frames per second average. After that was the next step up, the GTX 970, which always performs well in these budget benchmarking videos, and in 1080p and max settings I got an average of 63. Do know that this is still significantly under the results that we got on the AMD side of things with the RX 570. Following that was the GTX 1050 Ti, and here I put the settings at 1080p and normal with still no anti-aliasing, and I averaged 65 frames per second. Next up was the GTX 1060, the 3GB model mind you, and here in 1080p and the highest settings but with SMAA 1X anti-aliasing I averaged 59. This result was definitely hurt a bit by the 3GB of VRAM, but still pretty solid results. And finally, the last NVIDIA card of the day was our new GTX 1650, and in 1080p with the highest settings in SMAA 1X I got an FPS average of 70, and here you can see that extra 1GB of VRAM helped us out a bit. Usually at this point in the video I show my 3400G integrated Vega results, but I actually kept getting a DirectX issue and I wasn't able to run the game at all. I didn't do a lot of digging, and I'm not sure if this is a major bug with other users or anything, but I will update the results if I eventually get this one to work. Well, there you have it. These are the results for the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and as you can see, this game is actually somewhat optimized and you can at least play this game in 1080p with any of these GPUs. Before moving on, another big thanks to Privacy.com for sponsoring today's video. I've actually started using Privacy.com myself, and I'm very happy with the service because I no longer have to put my actual credit card information on the internet right now, and it makes me feel safe using the virtual cards. This is especially important for us PC gamers that like to buy some game or operating system codes using some shady websites. The way it works is you connect a funding account to fuel your virtual cards, and then you can either create a single credit card to use wherever you want, or you can create individual cards that can only be used on Amazon, iTunes, or wherever. These cards ensure that they can only be used on these individual websites in case they do get compromised, and you can also set spending limits. So for example, when Netflix increases in price, you'll be asked whether you want to increase your spending limit before you actually pay them. Privacy.com also has a Chrome extension which helps fill out your credit card information quickly. It's PCI DSS compliant, which means it's held to the same security standards as your bank, and it's even secure with military grade encryption. Head on over to privacy.com/ZTT to create a free account, and they'll even give you $5 to spend on your first purchase. Yep, that's $5 for free heading over to privacy.com/ZTT. Well, there you have it. That wraps up my benchmarking results for the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare with some budget GPUs. As always, drop a comment down below about what results you're getting, or also let me know what you're going to do with that free $5 from privacy.com. After that, feel free to head on over to one of these two videos if you haven't seen them yet, and definitely hit that subscribe button because coming up next, we got some more benchmarking to do. You don't want to miss that video.